So yeah, it looks like Bethesda might have teased bringing back a cut feature to Oblivion Remastered. And just to think when things were going well, we got Oblivion Remastered on Xbox Game Pass. We were hit with some hard news today. Microsoft raises the price of all Xbox Series consoles. Xbox games confirmed to hit $80 this holiday. Man, we just cannot catch a break, can we? And Bethesda also released this video right here, a developer spotlight of Dan Lee, who had some very surprising things to say. And it also looks like Bethesda is wanting to fix one of the most annoying issues in the game right now. Plus, we got some weird issues cropping up as of today, and I gotta ask, is this same thing happening to you guys? And it looks like players are playing Oblivion in two very different ways, and this is stirring up quite the discussion today. And we also got some very crazy news around Oblivion Remastered on Steam Deck. Despite major issues on that platform, it looks like it's doing more than well. Which brings me to another question. How many of you guys are on Steam Deck for Oblivion Remastered? All right, so we're going to start out right here. Scrapped Oblivion Remastered mechanics spotted in a recent trailer, and fans want it back. So what trailer are we talking about exactly? So this was recently officially posted by Bethesda. It's called Oblivion Remastered Then and Now, but it's towards the end of the trailer that things get interesting. And that's where they highlight a bunch of clips of Oblivion Remastered, and there's one noteworthy clip that definitely stood out. And it's definitely when the horse enters the scene right here. Yes, we got to look at first-person view, and it feels very cinematic though, but it definitely ended up being a very big discussion now on the subreddit here. It says they removed first-person horse riding, but Bethesda has a cinematic clip of it in one of their latest promotional videos, saying getting forcibly pulled into third person for kill cams, horse riding, or werewolf vampire transformations was one of my least favorite changes with Skyrim. I want to be the character, and at no point want to get yanked to an over-the-shoulder view. Please add first-person horse riding. This got a whopping 4,600 upvotes, and here's a response. I'm guessing they'll patch it back in, but there were some unresolved issues for launch they wanted to avoid. And I gotta say, it was one of the more disappointing things I realized when I first played this game was, man, I can't switch to first-person view when horseback riding, especially even like coming from games like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I absolutely love the immersion of being in first person on horseback, and I really cross my fingers that Bethesda listens to this one and gives us first person on horseback. Also, Bethesda did reply about one core issue that has been so frustrating. Check it out right here. Why is my equipped weapon not showing in the inventory menu in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered? And the response is that they are aware of that issue, of course. Now, unequipping and re-equipping the weapon will help, but only temporarily, but they have noted this. And again, I do think that this will be patched up very soon, hopefully in like the next patch that they're working on. Because for me personally, it is a very prevalent bug. It happens all the time. And we were hit with some gut-wrenching news today. Check it out. Microsoft raises the price of all Xbox Series consoles. Xbox games confirmed to hit $80 this holiday. And let me tell you what, I feel like we just cannot catch a break lately when it comes to the economy as a whole. Yeah, and to see this is just, it just sucks to see. There's no way around it. So what exactly are the details here? Let's get into it. Microsoft is raising price on Xbox by a lot. In an announcement today, the company said it will be raising price on Xbox consoles, controllers, headsets, and some games. The price hike for consoles and accessories kicks in today, May 1st, and while game prices will stay the same for now, we should expect to see Xbox charging $80 for new first-party games around the holiday season. Price increases are taking effect globally, with the exception of headset prices, which are only going up in the US and Canada. Okay, so, oh boy, going forward, here are the expected prices on various Xbox consoles and accessories in the US. We have the Xbox Series S 512 at $380. That's up from $300. We also have the Xbox Series 1 terabyte. That's $430 now. That's up from $350. This is like major price hikes. And so on and so forth. You could pause the screen for yourself to see those prices, but this is just ridiculous and it sucks to see. And there's a portion of the gaming community that's also saying, thanks Nintendo, you're the one that started this, you're to blame. And then again, people are also blaming the state of the world economy, tariffs, all that stuff, the trade war. Now we have to wait to see what PlayStation is going to do, if they're going to follow suit and do the same thing. But you know, I gotta say, it's so incredibly frustrating to get such a win with Oblivion Remastered, and then we have such a massive loss with this news today. It just absolutely sucks. And that wasn't the only video Bethesda posted. They posted this one as well, highlighting Dan Lee, who has been incredibly instrumental to the success of many Bethesda's major IPs. But fans really took to heart what he said at the end of this video. Take a listen.
Even though I worked on Oblivion Remastered, I'm still excited for Sky Oblivion. I think what they're doing is very special, and I am excited to see their interpretation of what we've done in the past. And I think it's a great year for Oblivion fans.
Yeah, I gotta say Bethesda is absolutely nailing it recently, and players also noticed this. Check out the comments here. Sky Oblivion acknowledged by Bethesda in 4K. Respect to all Oblivion Remastered devs. This shit is fire. Wow, mentioning Sky Oblivion like that at the end is really something special. The goodwill Bethesda has just earned with the remaster is incredible. Nice work, Dan. I can't wait to try Sky Oblivion as well. Counting down the days over here to that one. It's going to be a ton of fun trying that one and feeling the difference between like Oblivion Remastered and Sky Oblivion. I feel like they're both going to offer their own like flavor of gameplay, and it's going to be fun bouncing back and forth between both of those. Now, I also did notice some weird oddities happening with my game, and it was also mentioned out on the subreddit as well. I wanted your take on this, so check it out. Weird stuttering as of today. Has anyone else started experiencing significant stuttering in the game recently? I've been able to play it fine aside from the standard performance issues since release, but when I started it up today, it runs fine for a few seconds and then starts lagging like crazy even at the main menu. Whoa, now I haven't had that. I'd updated my drivers today, so I figured that was the cause, but since then I've reinstalled the previous driver version and the issue persists. I'm still able to run other games without an issue, so I don't think it's my PC is dying either. So at least that's the good news, this PC isn't dying. But yeah, curious to see if any of you guys are experiencing that. I've definitely noticed more stutters, strangely, even in dungeons, which never happened at all. And I'm like, what is going on? But yeah, sound off if you're dealing with any weird oddities as of today. But you know what? We also got to talk about the different play styles that Oblivion fans are committed to. Check out this thread right here, and there's two different topics here. Check it out. We have the first one. My friend has played Oblivion for 87 hours, is still level 4, refuses to fast travel, and thinks that's completely normal. And then we have another take. My friend just told me he beat Oblivion, his first Elder Scrolls game, in about 7 hours at level 3, and he sees nothing wrong with that. So we got to start out with this first story and see what people are saying here. So we have my friend played Oblivion and basically tried to 100% the game before starting the main quest. He spent 12 real hours just in the tutorial dungeon because he wanted to test every weapon type and reach max acrobatics by jumping everywhere before he saw the sunlight. He finally steps out into the open world, and I'm like, so did you get to Wayne Prior yet? And he goes, what's that? You know, the place where you take the Amulet of Kings at the start. Oh no, I'm not doing that yet. I'm still collecting Nimroot. I need all 305. And I ask him how far is the Fighters Guild, and he hits me with, oh no, I'm not starting any guild until I've completed every single city's local quest and built my own alchemy lab in every player home. He also refuses to fast travel. Now, sound off if you are like that. That is interesting because I have limited fast travel for myself because I didn't realize, or I had forgotten, that Oblivion, right out of the gates, all fast travel options are open to you, which is really different from, of course, what we've experienced in other open world games like this. Even like Skyrim, you have to explore, find the posts. And this was also highlighted here. Check it out right here. Why does Oblivion allow fast travel to every city right from the start? I feel like the beauty of most Bethesda games are travel to this far off town and discover amazing side quests and dungeons on the way that distract you from the main quest. I know I could not just fast travel, but I hate having that option, and discovering cities doesn't feel as rewarding. I would just visit places in other open world games just to unlock fast travel for any side quest I might encounter later. This has 2,200 upvotes, and a response here. I think people forget that being able to go anywhere on the map from the start in the way Oblivion did was a pretty new concept. In other games that let you go anywhere, most of the time you'd hit an area where the enemies are too high level for you and not truly viable options yet. I don't think Oblivion invented the concept of dynamic enemy level scaling, but it certainly wasn't common yet. They definitely heavily marketed the fact that you could truly go anywhere from the very beginning and ignore the main story if you wanted to. I imagined part of making the decision to have all the cities marked on the map and available for fast travel from the start was to emphasize that aspect of the game. So the biggest question is, do you guys like that? Or do you prefer having it where you're kind of exploring the world not knowing what you're going to stumble across instead of having it completely advertised to you on the map. I suppose the good side of this, though, is that you're presented with so many different cities and options, and you know that this is a very, very big game no matter what right out the gate. So at least there's that. I really don't mind it because I myself, if I see like a city that I haven't explored to and the game is telling me, hey, you know, your quest line is taking you to this city, a lot of times what I do is I see the path leading there and I go, have I taken that path to that city yet? And if I have not, I usually take it upon myself to get on horseback or what have you and travel there myself because yes, there's so many cool side quests, side dungeons, and a lot of really cool loot opportunities in those dungeons as well that you would miss otherwise just by opening up the map and fast traveling there. I will say one cool mechanic that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has even when you are fast traveling is that you're interrupted by someone that you stop into along that journey when fast traveling, and it gives you that opportunity to do some exploration. I love that mechanic, and I think that more open world games should adopt that. But this post goes on to say this. At one point, he told me he restarted the entire game because he accidentally used the wrong birth sign and it didn't match his headcanon. Oh, and he's still level 4, but not because he skipped leveling. No, he's sleeping in 1 hour increments to microcontrol his attribute gains and avoid inefficient stat growth. He once spent 2 full in-game weeks training speechcraft with beggars just so he could feel more confident asking guards for direction. I'm starting to think he's going to actually become the champion of Cyrodiil in real life before he finishes the damn game. Am I wrong for losing my mind over this? Is it possible to play Oblivion 2 right? And some responses here, and someone says, this is hilarious, but is your friend playing the game or is the game playing him? I feel like there's no wrong way to play the game, and sometimes I do wonder if this is like more of a troll post, very over-exaggerated, of course. But let me know if you know of anyone that plays games like this. But on the flip side of things, we have other players that are absolutely kind of speed running the game in a way, and they're just going through the main quest line, ignoring the open world completely and fast traveling as much as possible, which is another way of playing the game. So yeah, which way do you guys prefer? I'm extremely curious, but I feel like there's no wrong way to play Oblivion. Although I really do encourage kind of limit the fast traveling, especially if you have not been to a city before. Take the paths to that city. You will find some amazing stuff along that adventure. And this is also a refreshing take, and I love this. Oblivion is the first game in a long time to remind me to just play the damn game. I first played Oblivion when I was 10 years old. It was the most gorgeous game I'd ever seen, and I'd never really played anything that could get close to the breadth of content and the size of the world. At 10, I was content just making a new character every other week and running around and exploring the entire world and the content it had to offer. Every secret passage had me fucking giddy. Every new magical weapon felt like some ancient artifact that was discovered by me. Every new enemy made me feel badass for overcoming the challenge. Almost surreal to look back on it now. It's a type of gaming that I just haven't done in so long. These days, gaming feels so much like min-maxing constantly, even in a game like Baldur's Gate 3. I found myself checking new builds and tips and tricks so constantly that it felt like I always had Chrome open in the background, waiting for my next question or walkthrough, which, by the way, to each their own. If that's what you like to do and you have like a second monitor and guides open or something like that, yeah, go for it. Now, I know that with Elden Ring, the Souls franchise, me personally, I've got to have some sort of guide on occasion to really help me get through some of those games. But back to this anyway. It says, it's a bummer looking at that cycle and realizing that I have been willfully throwing away so much of the exploration and adventure that some of these games have to offer. Now with the remaster, I feel like I'm getting reminders constantly that I'm happier just playing the fucking game. I still find myself opening Google in the background or on my phone, checking the wiki to see if I missed anything in a ruin or if there's a way to get away with X without Y. But every time I do, I feel a weird sense of melancholy. Oblivion feels so intent on letting you know that that's just not how the game is meant to be played. There's always the joke that a developer doesn't just want to make a game, they want to make an experience, but this game does have so many aspects that are meant to be experienced. And he wraps up by saying the best way he has experienced Oblivion so far is just, you know, experiencing it without any hand-holding, without someone telling you what to do, what's the best build, where to find the best weapon. I just feel like there's something to be said about finding that amazing weapon in a dungeon that you didn't even know existed. You know, there is a thrill about that. And that happened to me recently with this sword that you see right here. It's a badass sword. I found it on my own, and it was just such a thrill to do that. That type of organic playstyle is just so refreshing and fun. You know, in this day of age where, you know, you have your phone in your lap or whatever when you're playing and you're trying to multitask, find guides, what have you. But for me, being able to be fully immersed without any distractions and to explore on my own, there's something to be said about that. Now, also, let's talk about Steam Deck because some weird things happening with that. Check it out. Steam Deck gamers are playing Oblivion Remastered in droves despite controversy. Oblivion Remastered has secured the #2 spot on April's Steam Deck top played list behind Balatro despite performance issues. This is pretty crazy because apparently there's also warnings about this when buying the game on Steam Deck through reviews and stuff. Now, the article goes on to read, while players were always going to try to get Oblivion Remastered running on Steam Deck, the controversy comes from Valve's decision to give it a verified rating despite it failing on the core criteria that a game needs to earn this status. We already tested the best Oblivion Remastered settings and found that on the Steam Deck, you need to at least consider changing the upscaling method as well as the level of upscaling from balance to performance. This crucial change alone should relegate Oblivion to playable rating, but this has not happened. Despite the Oblivion Remastered system requirements suggesting the game would be difficult for Steam Deck to run, players are clearly just pushing through and running the game however they see fit. Given that the game only released late this month, the fact that it's already the #2 game on Steam Deck is quite the achievement. It didn't have quite enough players to dethrone Balatro for the monthly stats, but it is currently the most played game over the last week. That's insane. So how many of you guys are on Steam Deck? They did go on to mention that Expedition 33 is very popular as well, which again, I cannot wait to hop into that one and give it my full attention. But right now, dude, I'm so into Oblivion Remastered. That's like all I think about currently. But anyway, yeah, Steam Deck. It seems like a lot of you guys really like the Elder Scrolls experience in a handheld format, it sounds like a lot of fun. I would love to get a Steam Deck down the road. It's something that I am considering, but also apprehensive about, considering I've seen a bunch of games that struggle to really run on Steam Deck. Then you got to consider the sacrifice in graphics, but just to chill on the couch or whatever and be able to have that handheld experience does sound like a lot of fun, I got to admit. So yes, it is that time again. It's time to go over your top comments. As always, remember, leave a comment down below. And if you are new, welcome aboard. Don't forget to smack that subscribe button, turn on that bell notification icon so you never miss another upload. But let's see what you guys have been saying here. So check it out. I hope we'll get a fully voiced Morrowind remake before Skyrim is touched again. I saw so many comments about that one. A lot of you guys had your feathers ruffled, I guess you would say, when I highlighted that article that said, hey, I'm down for another Skyrim remaster if it can look as good as Oblivion Remastered. But a lot of you guys were like, hold up, we got like PC mods you can mess around with Skyrim currently that can make it look just as good as Oblivion Remastered. We do not need another Skyrim Remastered. In fact, we'd like for Bethesda to consider touching other Elder Scrolls games first, including Morrowind. Morrowind was by far the most mentioned game from you guys when it comes to Elder Scrolls. So yeah, that makes 100% sense to me, of course. And I did say, you know, if they ever did consider remastering Skyrim again, perhaps on Unreal Engine 6, that it would have to be way, way down the road after they complete other projects that you guys really, really want to see. And here's the thing that I did not mention in my previous video about a Skyrim remaster on like something like Unreal Engine 6 is right now, even with the remastered editions, the dragons, which are the highlight of Skyrim in many ways, are feeling very, very dated, especially compared to other RPGs that have dragons in them. You look at Dragon's Dogma 2 and what they did with them. If they could redo the dragons entirely from the ground up with gameplay, dude, that would be incredible. But I'm talking about like way down the road again. Now, what do we have next? Check it out. Morrowind deserves a remake way more than Skyrim does a remaster. I was old enough to enjoy Oblivion in 06, and even then Morrowind was an eyesore and really hard to get immersed in purely from a visual perspective. Skyrim, however, is a much more modern game and still holds up even today. Yeah, to bring back these older games in such an amazing way would be crazy. And of course, we have more comments. about Morrowind. And we got this one, either have the devs copy the modders and have it retroactively level your items with you, or have a special item you can use in one of your homes next to an anvil, or something to level your weapons to your current level. Yeah, there needs to be some sort of system in place at the very least where you can do that. That would be cool, and it would solve a lot of the complaints for sure. Now, also, another top comment here. No, I wouldn't pay for another Skyrim remake, but I'd pay for Daggerfall and Morrowind remake. So Daggerfall was also on that list, but the map size of Daggerfall is just staggering, even compared to like Oblivion and Skyrim. It is wild. I saw a whole video about that. I'm like, I really did not have any idea. So for them to remaster that one, that would be quite an undertaking for sure. So I think it's safe to say that I would probably do Morrowind first before Daggerfall. All right, so there it is. The latest happenings around, yet again, Skyrim Remastered, but there's a lot of other games to look forward to here in the future as well. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to, especially when it comes to May. We are now in May. I cannot wait for Doom, The Dark Ages. That one's going to be badass. Getting very hyped about that one. And then, of course, we have Dune Awakening. That one has me curious. We'll see how that one pans out as an MMO. But thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned here for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.